Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, 87Z1M. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airwaves and fast cam television. We're repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. The cross-band repeater spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out our frequencies and also how to receive our stream on YouTube, Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage where our frequencies are there, and you'll find a link to stream our nets that are held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we'd like to thank the Seattle Repeater Association for letting us use the 08 machine, WW7SCR, on 47.08 for our net. So with that, I'll pause in case anybody has an emergency traffic or needs to make a contact or a net is fully underway. This is Dave, 87. Hearing now and again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. Dave, 87Z1M. So far checked in by video link is Ron, 87 GKU. Jessica, KS7UHK. Richard, K7ITX. Jim, M7QO. Myself, Dave, 87CYM. Anybody else would like to check into the net? What you see is what it is. Let's go to the top of the list and do it Ron, 87 GKU.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. 87ZYM in the group, 87QKU. Well, I guess I'm looking at myself on the streaming, so my little grand stream must be working, and my camera must be pointed in the right direction. So that's good. We kind of moved everything around. I moved my grand stream around. It's now in the cabinet behind me on the top shelf, and did some horse trading with Wade. I now have a new computer, and he has a new ham radio. So that worked out pretty good. I spent the last 2 days out in the shed opening boxes. I was looking for one of the things I was looking for was a charger. I have a little handheld marine radio, handy talkie, and I have a charger for it, but do you think I can find the charger? No. I found lots of other things. I found lots of things I decided I shouldn't have moved, and I got them all in a box to take to Goodwill. That's going to take a trip in a couple of days. So yeah, I'm glad everything is up and working good. So I guess that's it for now. Back to net, 87QKU.
87QKU, Ron, thanks for that. Let's go to Jessica, KS7UHK.
KS7UHK, Jessica, up here in Arizona. I hate it when you can't find little things. I've got a scat of these lasers that you get over the counter, usually from music stores, and I couldn't find 2 of them. And I'm about to do a show down here at the Eagles in Ballard for a friend of ours, and they're doing a benefit for one of their friends' sisters, and I couldn't find 2 of my lasers, and it was just bugging the heck out of me. I went up to the house and looked there, and I was trying to imagine where would I have put them last. Well, I think they're usually black boxes with a little hole in them, and a cord that you plug into the wall. It's usually what they look like. They don't look very fancy, other than a black box. But I finally found the 2 in a box underneath one of the tables that was back underneath my electronics bench. I just looked there, and so that was nice. Power supply for your radio. It's probably somewhere. You just have to organize everything and go through everything. COVID-19 was very good for that. I was able to go through and organize stuff and look through boxes I hadn't looked through for years, and found little things here and there. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot I owned that. So there you go. It'll probably show up. Other than that, I'm going to pass it back to Jessica, KF7, UHK.
KF7, UHK, let's go to 10 to Richard, 2756.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to see you all out there in television land. I had, for me, kind of an early start. I had a 10 o'clock appointment at Aluminum Bronze Fabricators. It's part of the conglomerate where I worked before I retired, and now I'm one of their customers as I consult for SGS Glass. And so it's always fun to go down there, and that's where the owner of our race car works. And so it's kind of fun. Well, I love getting paid to go see the owner of my race car team, let me put it that way. So anyway, that went real well, except bad news on the race car front. It looks like we're out of commission until June. I was kind of looking forward to a race even 2 weeks from now, and in May we got one, but both our cars, the Porsche and the Datsun, have the engines being worked on as we speak. So I don't know what else I can say. Other than KD7ZYN, K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks for that, Richard. Let's go to Covington to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, good evening, everyone. Let's see, what can I say? Something just happened on the computer there. Whatever. Wow, it was a cold day today. I'll tell you what, today was trash day, and after the first trash truck came, went out and got the can, and I'm thinking, man, it's cold. And then it was a couple hours later that the yard waste truck came, and I went outside, and I'm thinking, man, it's even colder now than it was before. I don't interpret that as a complaint, because I'm happy that it's not snowing, and for that matter, it's not raining either. But it's just unexpected, that's all. It's amazing. You have the heat on in your place, and then you go outside expecting it to be one way, but it's not. It's nice if you look outside and see how miserable the weather is, but it otherwise looked like a fairly nice day. Well, wrong. But right now I'm showing 42 degrees. It's chilly out there. Not a whole lot of wind today, but enough to keep you wearing a hat anyway. Let's see. I've got, I see the 1.2 okay, and let's see. Ron, didn't really, traded a radio for a computer. I hope that worked out well. Some retired person is still working, and I see Bellevue Jim is here now, Dave. And hi. So back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
N7QO. Speaking of Bellevue James, WU7N, the mic is yours.
Oh, good evening. Something that about 25 watts into the antenna. Is that coming through okay? Okay, we'll turn it up. The solution to all problems in radio is just turn the power off. Well, anyway, moving stuff. Yeah, Ron, that happens to everybody when you move, and then when you move again, that's when you find anything you thought you had lost or was missing for the last 3 years. I kind of got out of the habit of this, but I think everyone should move every 3 years just so you can reorganize everything. Congratulations on the new computer. You'll have to tell Phyllis what kind of computer, what kind of radio you want back and forth there. Jessica, I hope you find your lasers. That happened the last time I misplaced weapons grade plutonium. You just say, what happened to it, And I mean, you hope some, well, anyway. Okay, so, Richard, some kind of international crime organization. My name is Bond, aluminum Bond. I mean, come on, it just fits so perfectly, doesn't it? Okay, well, anyway, I hope your car is back in business. That's the source of major video entertainment for us all, and I think you enjoy that too. So, anyway, the hard freeze. This was a record setter last night. I've always said, what's a hard freeze? Someone asked me that. I said, well, it's the kind of freeze, if you don't study for it and go to class every day, you're just not going to pass it. But it was actually below freezing out my front door this morning. And so, anyway, that was the exciting weather news last night. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to our next control base. This is WW7ATS in Northeast Bellevue.
WW7ATS, thanks for that. And it's ID time again. This is Dave, 87ZYM. And this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. And for Richard, your gasoline consumption budget will be down in the next couple of months, so that will be a plus. And I imagine there'll be other expenses that will come along to take care of that. And like Ron with a new computer, it seems to be working functionally, and it looks very good on the air anyway, and sounds good. Contacts have been great. So here in Lake City, I got 46 degrees. It's a warm spot, I guess, and it's overcast outside with a little bit of rain scheduled to come down momentarily, but I haven't seen that happen yet. That advisory was about 20 minutes ago. So it's a little slow on the upkeep getting here. Anyway, let's see. Today, tomorrow, I get my second jab, or my second booster jab tomorrow. And so, the timing has been pretty good with what's happening in the world with this virus spreading around. So, hopefully I'll get more protection, as they say. So that's about what's happening here. So I'll send it back up to the top of the list to Ron, 87QKU.
Thank you. 87QKU here. Well, maybe you heard me tell you that my fish finder was underwater. So I had this tub in my 12-foot aluminum boat. Of course, I had a cover on it, but it sat out in the rain all winter. And the cover leaked, and it filled the tub full of water. And my fish finder was in it. And I felt bad because it's one of my favorites, the hummingbird. So I separated it, taking the screws out of it, and it has a gasket in the middle. You can see there's a yellow gasket. So it separates right at that point. And I poured all the water out of it, and then I run the water until it got real hot, and then I rinsed it out inside with all hot water. And then there's a sponge in there that kind of holds everything from the back, it's a spacer, I guess you'd call it. I squeezed the water out of that, and then I set it in the window. And we haven't had much sun lately, but I left it in there for about 4 days. Then I reassembled it, and I'd taken it out to my boat, and I plugged it in. Lo and behold, it turned on. The menu worked. Whether or not it'll be accurate or not, I don't know, but it looks like it might be going to work. So when I went to bed last night, it was 33 degrees on the thermometer that's hanging in the tree out in the front yard. And right now it's 36.8. I just looked. And it snowed here off and on all day. We had to drive over to University Place. We had to drive down whatever you want to call it, Bridgeport. We used the March Hill Drug over there. And it was, that was about 3:30, and it was snowing really good. Of course, it wasn't sticking, it just kind of wet snow. So anyway, so unless you want to hear about my latest medical condition? You want to hear about my medical condition? Just pointing his thumbs up. Okay. So, I'd lost most of my hearing in my right ear, so I went to the nose and throat doctor, and he wanted me to have an MRI to look at my ear. They thought I had a tumor. There's a nerve in there, and if you get a tumor, it won't kill you apparently. But anyway, they wanted to find out, so I said, okay, so we had the MRI. So then I went in a couple days ago, maybe it was Monday, and saw the lady. Her name's Liz, and she's real nice, older lady. She said, well, I got some good news, and then I got some other news. The good news is that you don't have a tumor, but the bad news is that the hearing that you've just lost it, and it's never going to come back. She said, I would wear a hearing aid in my right ear if I were you, because you can still hear sound. You just can't understand words very well. And my left ear works pretty good. So she said, and Costco hearing aids, she said, are about as good as any. And they have real good surgeon and everything, because I use Costco hearing aids. So anyway, that sounds good. Let me let it drop. But she said, I have some other news. I said, oh really? She said, yeah. Apparently from the MRI, you've had 2 strokes in the past. I said, 2 strokes. Are you sure? Yeah, absolutely. It says right here in the report. And she said, if we can look at your MRI, and I'm not a neurologist, but I can show them to you. And there were little white spots. Apparently, I guess there's still blood clots in there. I don't know. She said it could have happened. They don't date themselves, so it could have happened anytime. It could have been 30 years ago. It could have been yesterday. She said, you don't ever remember having it. No, I don't. Well, she said, that's good, but she said, their recommendation is that you see a neurologist. So now I got to go see a neurologist. She said, I don't think he's going to tell you much, and he probably won't put you on any medication. Then she asked me, she said, of course, I'm not a neurologist. I'm nose throat. And I said, yeah, I know that. She said, you take a baby aspirin? I said, yeah. Well, she said, don't quit. So anyway, I said, well, why do you think I really don't like, these doctor's appointments all the time. It's a pain in the ass. And she said, yeah, no, I know. But she said, if you were my brother, I would say, go see the neurologist just once. Because she said, that's probably all it'll be, just one time. And he'll tell you more than I can tell you. Apparently I had 2 little white dots about as big as the end of your finger up there in my brain sometimes. So, how about that? Back to that, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, thanks for sharing that information with the group. Let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK.
KF7UHK, yeah, no, I don't like having to go to doctor visits. And MRIs, the worst thing is the prep drink. I think they called it barium blast last time I went there. And yeah, it felt like a half gallon of this stuff. It just kind of sat on my stomach. Luckily it sat on my stomach, because I thought this is gonna be nasty. I'm just gonna throw it all up. But actually, it just kind of sat there like concrete in my stomach. So that wasn't very fun. But I think the best way to drink that stuff is you get it really cold. So I left it in the refrigerator, and then I drank it out of a frozen glass out of the freezer, and that helped to kind of kill the taste, which there wasn't much taste to it either. I was thinking maybe if I could mix it with some Kool-Aid mix or something like that, it would go down better. But they told me not to do that. I did ask. Let's see, one of our friends got COVID-19. He's over on the PSRG repeater quite often. I think he's down somewhere in Louisiana right now with the wife. They went down to a bike ride, a bike cruise, I think is what they called it, where they get out of the boat and they cruise around different ports and can jump off and go on bike rides. So he's kind of holed up right now. He's doing fine. I think he's over the worst of it, but they're holed up in a motel right now and not going to be home for another 6 days or so. So that's always distressing when you hear that someone close gets COVID-19. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Jessica KF7UHK.
And I'm Live VHS. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society 10 on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, 87CYM. Well, let's move on down to Kent. To Richard, K7ITX.
Yeah, gee whiz, Ron, I hear where you're coming from. Yeah, going to the doctors it is a real pain in the neck, to say the least. I'm going to have my fair share of going. I had a positive chest x-ray, and so I guess there'll be a pulmonologist in my future, and I'm sure there'll be the CT scans and the MRIs and on and on and on and on. So I don't know. I guess that's just part of getting older. I can list all kinds of things that are involved with, and all these variables. Basically it's water on the bridge. You got to deal with what you got now, not worry about what could have been or was or I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to go on with life and have a good time, and just like Ron, you're always keeping busy and having a great time. So I think that's a good choice. So golly, yeah, the cold weather. I don't know if this grass seed that they put down last week is going to hold up. I know it can't germinate when it's this cold, so whether or not it gets spoiled and has to be reseeded. Well, the good news is it's not like acres and acres. It's probably about maybe an eighth of an acre. Let me put it that way, so I don't think it's the end of the world. Might be 1/16 of an acre. It's a pretty small yard from the front where they reseeded. Anyway, that's all I know for right now. KD7ZYM, K7ITX, back to that control.
K7ITX, thanks for that. Let's go on to Covington, to Jim, M7QO.
M7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Jim, we understood you perfectly the first time you were speaking, but there was a pretty fair amount of crackling, but I guess we're all more or less accustomed to that now. The crackling was significantly less when you went to the higher power, but still there, unfortunately. Let's see, at my house it was 33 degrees outside when I woke. I got up a little later than normal this morning. It was maybe around 7 this morning, and I didn't notice if it got any colder than that over here. Jessica, man, some of that stuff, I don't know, I think maybe I'd drink it down, but wash it down with schnapps or something. I don't know. Check with the doctor on that, but I think alcohol's got to, make everything a little better. Ron, wow, man, 2 strokes. You never know. I hate going to doctors and they tell you what, like Dick was saying, what used to be with you or what happened to you. It's like, that's ancient history. But on the other hand, it might be worth, if your ENT says she'd tell her brother to go see a neurologist, that might be worth doing, just to see what they say. And hearing aids, I don't know. I can't speak intelligently about any of them, but someone told me if you're going to get a hearing aid, get one that has Bluetooth built into it. Seems to me that's kind of a good idea. Might be an expensive idea, but at least worth looking into. Good luck with that. K7ZYM and 7QO. Hey, I heard you
call me out there. For some reason, your signal level dropped in addition to the crackling, but I was able to get you just fine. Ron, Fish Finder Miracle Story. I have never heard a happy ending. It would be a fish finder. I mean, I wonder if it's Lowrance is the brand. You said Hummingbird. But that's pretty amazing that you could dry out electronics. Okay, it's moving too much. I can't see the name on there. Hummingbird is what it says. But, yeah, that's amazing. I cannot believe you actually were able to dry it out and get it to work. That's one nice thing about the digital fish finders. They either work or don't. It probably works just fine. Or it wouldn't work at all. COVID-19, wow, it really hits home when you actually know somebody with COVID-19. Throughout the last 2 years, that's something that's kind of made it real to me. I know a banker, not real well, but a banker in Shanghai, and his problem is food. The delivery people are all buttoned up, and so you're supposed to get your food by delivery, especially if you're affluent, living in the kind of gated community you live in, but you can't get anybody to deliver anything. So he's getting good spirits about it. He said he needs to lose some weight anyway, but I guess that's a positive way to look at it. Ron, tell you about your hearing. I've tried very hard to protect my hearing, but in my family it tends to go anyway the older you get. But I've got a couple of relatives who have very good luck with the cell phone connected hearing aids. And you can not only hear, but then if a cell phone call comes in, it just routes it to your hearing aids, and I think they get better cell phone audio quality than I hear. I recently got a pair of earbuds I'll show the next time around, and I thought these can't possibly work. They're $5.40. And they're just wonderful audio, both microphone and the earpieces. Now, it's not built terribly well. It's very light and fragile, but, and I'll show you that design next time around, but it is amazing how well it works. The audio is just incredible. Diagnostic technology. I'm aware of a company that for a while was offering as like this big benefit to their employees who predominantly tend to be younger to do this complete head-to-toe diagnostic medical thing. And I mean, some of these tests were really pretty intrusive. And I think that just kind of went away. I think they stopped doing it because, the 20-year-olds don't want to know what's wrong with them, I guess. I guess it was just not a morale builder for the younger people to say, well, yeah, you got, two whiskers over the left, so they should be over the right, and your one earlobe's lower than the other one, or whatever they were telling them. Because I noticed that just kind of went away. But I also think it was just a big data collection experiment. I think they were just trying to figure out what they were going to have to deal with later on, depending on how long the employees were around. But that's just the cynical side of my brain, which has not yet been affected by stroke. So that's maybe that's not true. I don't know. So anyway, that's it. Oh, grass seed. Richard, I do want to hear about this because my last grass seed story is a lady paid some guy to put grass seed out, and then she was looking out her front window, and she just noticed there was like this massive flock of birds all over the front of her yard, just taken out. And so I don't know what kind of grass seed they put down, but why do I think this guy, maybe this was the first job he had done? Because I think if you put grass seed down correctly, the birds would not just see it and chow down on it. So that was kind of a funny story on grass seed. But I'm curious to know if it does grass seed freeze? I mean, it must not, right? I mean, doesn't it have to freeze? I mean, it would anyway, right? Maybe not, I don't know. So that's it for me, WW7ATS in Northeast W. Take it in, Dave.
WW7ATS, this is Dave, WW7ATS in Lake City. Oh my, I'm really amazed with Ron and his method of fixing up his booting device there. Reminded me when I first came to work in Seattle at Como TV. One evening on a break, I went into the studio. The guys were doing maintenance on the big studio cameras. And I said, well, what are you doing? They were pulling the circuit boards out, and I was saying, oh, now what? You check out the circuit? No, we're going to put them in the dishwasher. And they went into the kitchen, and they actually put them into the dishwasher, ran them through a cycle, and they said, if you have any burn resistors or transistors that are malfunctioning, it'll show up once the boards are dried out and cleaned. So that was kind of an interesting thing, I thought. But they did it on all the studio cameras, and they kept them going, so that was kind of interesting. Who knows? It's kind of interesting to do that. So that was about the only thing I could think about trying out electronics. I know my cameras used to get wet pretty much, the video cameras, and I had this huge dehydrator at home that I could dehydrate fruit in, and I'd bring my camera and lenses in and set them in the dehydrator overnight, and that seemed to dry them out. A lot of times the lenses would pick up a little moisture inside, but the warmth would let's see if we got it done. The warmth of the dehydrator would dry out that moisture inside the lenses, and I was back in operation again the next day. So that was about it. This is the 87ZYM. So let's go up to the top again to Ron, 87QKU.
Okay, thank you very much, KD7QKU here again. Yeah, so when I taken that fish finder apart and looked into it, there really isn't much in it. And I didn't see anything in there that wasn't kind of solid plastic, diodes or resistors or whatever they were. There was nothing that looked like it would absorb water, so I thought there might be hope, and there was, apparently. So it'll be interesting. Maybe I can remember next time I go fishing, whatever that is, to give you a report, see if it actually works correctly. So let's see. Richard, on your grass seed, so I read on my package some time ago that the soil temperature needed to be 50 degrees for the grass seed to germinate properly. So I don't know if you have a laser thermometer or not, but you can go out. I went out and checked my ground here a while back because I had some spots I wanted to overseed, and it wasn't nowhere near 50 degrees. So I thought I'd wait for another month till it kind of gets warm. So good luck on that. And Jim, N7QO, yeah, my hearing aids right now are Bluetooth. So when my phone rings, I hear it in my, hear the conversation in my hearing aid. That is really nice, I think. I can use my phone in the car when you're not supposed to. So what I do when I answer in the car is I just lay it on the seat between my legs, and I don't really look at it, and I can talk, and the person can hear me, and of course I can hear them in my hearing aid, so that works pretty good. So what else is going on? I told you I was out in the shed looking for stuff, hoping all the boxes were rearranged. I got quite a bit of room out there now, and I showed you the pictures of the conduit frame I put up for a little garage, and I put the tarp over it. So maybe you guys will have some ideas. Let me let it drop. So the rafters, in the ceiling on that conduit frame are on 4-foot centers. So that's quite a bit of sag for the blue plastic tarp. So I would like to have them on maybe 2-foot centers. So I don't know what to use. I've decided I'm going to use some rope. I'll put rope across the top, down to the other side. And so I'll put rope every 2 foot, 2 feet. It'd be nice to have something that was wider, but I just don't know what to use. Webbing strap or something. I want something cheap. And you can buy this polyethylene rope. You can buy it real cheap. Get it at Harbor Freight, 100 feet for $10. So I don't know if I'll use 100 feet. If I use more than 100 feet, I guess I go back and get another $10 per foot. So I'm going to put the rope, 2 ropes in between each one of them. Ribs, if you want to call it, or rafters. So anyway, and then from the side over the peak of the roof, and then down and tie it off on the other side. So if anybody else has any bright ideas, something that would be inexpensive, it'd be nice to have something flat and about 2 inches wide to help support the tarp, but I just can't think of anything that it wouldn't be expensive. Anyway, back to that KD7QKU.
KD7QKU. Let's go on to Jessica, KF7UHK.
100 feet for $10, that's really great. I think our ropes that we buy, or I guess you call them lines, for our sailboat were more like 10 feet for $100. So it was very expensive. They're not quite that bad, but they're very, very expensive. You get yourself a 30-foot rope, and it was probably $50 or so. But they're very soft, and they have a good feel to them, and they look real pretty. But go to a boat store and look at rope lines sometime, and you'll see they're not cheap. Let's see. I had to park a camera. I think it was a Canon that you could. I mean, it was about the size of a credit card, and it was good for underwater. And it worked a couple of times going snorkeling in different places. But I should have treated the door to the battery and the card tip with some Vaseline, because eventually it leaked, and that was the end of that camera. But I got some pretty good underwater shots of us snorkeling, like in Belize and in Hawaii. And then the last thing is, I went to an interview for that bus cleaning job and fueling job up in Skagit Valley. Did not get the job, and that's okay. I look at all the bright sides to this. I would have missed all my Zoom meetings with you guys and other Zoom meetings I get through on a week. It is 44 miles away from my home here, and so it would have been small. It was a 4-day, 10-hour day work week, but it was right in the middle of all my Zoom meetings and Saturday. So I'm not upset about it. So he's glad I didn't get it, because she thought you don't want to do that job. So, and then let's see, I got the 10 for 100, 100 for 10, and it's 45 degrees and cold up here in Everett. KS7, yes, guys.
KS7, UHK, thanks for that. Let's go on to Richard, K7, ITX.
Jessica, I agree with Sylvia. You didn't want that job. She didn't want you to have that job, and I didn't want you to have that job either. I kind of ran into a similar deal even today for myself. After I paid a visit to the old company where I used to work, and pretended like I was their customer for a while, but then I had to go report my findings to the people that pay me to do all this stuff, and I could just see, they really wanted to do a lot more than what I'm doing now, but I jumped right to the chase, and I said, this isn't anything I really can do. I told him that there's a lot of work here, and I just don't have the energy. I don't know if I was making it up, or it's just, how do you say it? There's just certain things after you haven't been working that you don't feel like doing anymore, and what I don't like doing anymore is riding people's tail and being big boss man, so to speak. And that's when you're a project manager and you've got these complicated things going on. You're coordinating, whether it's your customer and you'd be surprised. You have to boss your customer around, or they'll race you through the coals, and you're just tired of all that. So you're big boss man with your customer, big boss man with your supplier, big boss man against big boss man. I mean, and that is a real hassle to get in arguments with the person that hired you to begin with. But it comes with the territory. But I'm tired and sick of it, I mean, I like to do the fun stuff and shake hands, and I've always been really good at getting things started and getting things organized and getting things off and running, and that's what I get paid to do. I've always been real lousy at finishing up. I just don't like to put the ball on it when it's all done. I'll leave that to other people. So anyway, that's my story. I'm going to stick to it. KD7VA and K7ITX back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks for that. Let's go on to Covington. M7QO.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Well, let's see here. Dick and Jessica, I think once we're retired, we should only do things that we would enjoy doing. I think it's too easy to find stuff that we might not enjoy. So watch out for that. And Jessica, yeah, I agree with Dick and Sylvia. You didn't want that job. For me, right from the get-go, 44 miles, I'm sorry, that's just too far. Especially now with the price of gas and everything. Holy cow. And you'll appreciate it if the weather's bad. It's like, I didn't really want to drive that far today. I'm glad you didn't get that. Look for something closer to home if you want something. Let's see. Ron, with your fish finder, yeah, I forgot to mention something about that. Yeah, that's great. I do have friends who dropped like their cell phone in a bucket of water, and they took it apart and dried it out with a hair dryer, and it worked. And then I've got another friend who, I don't know how it happened, but she dropped her calculator in the toilet and dried it out, and guess what? It worked just fine. So hopefully your hummingbird will do just marvelously. Especially it was kind of made for a damp environment. I know not quite that damp, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for you on that. I don't have any ideas on the boat. I had two thoughts, but I don't think either of them will work. One, to turn the boat upside down, but I'm assuming that it's probably on a trailer, so you don't want to remove it from the trailer. The other thought would be to do like Jessica did and build sort of a little carport over the thing, like she did on her power station. But that will certainly cost more money, but on the other hand, it has some advantages too. Of course, not in the short term. You'd have to build the darn thing. Let's see here. I wrote down something. Sorry about that. I forgot to start my timer. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
N7QO, thanks for that. Let's go on to Bellevue, to James, WW7ATS.
Thank you, David. WW7ATS. I love your background. Just a good little cartoon fish on there. I wonder, I just go a lot of places with that. Let's see, Jim, so your friend dropped the calculator in a toilet. That explains what to me. Someone said bacteria can multiply in a toilet, so that must be how they do it. I never really gave a lot of thought before. Richard, I think we were talking about, I need a pill for this, and I keep on looking for the pharmaceutical stuff. It's called getting lazy. That's what I definitely am. The fun part of the job, I like those, but then the parts that involve either having to beat the result out of someone or trying to negotiate conflict between two people, I don't know. I guess I can still do it if I have to. But that's good. Yeah, 44 miles. I don't know what to say for all these people trying to hire people for 15 or 20 bucks an hour. That's just not going to make any economic sense for the next probably 2 years. I mean, when you figure what the cost of gas is, cost of insurance, maintenance on your car, I don't know what we're going to do with all this, because you pretty much need to be there, even by the walking distance, it doesn't make any economic sense for 20 hours a week. And there's a lot of jobs out there that depend on them. They depend on millions of people who really get paid that well, but maybe they do a job like that, and it works for them. And that's when gas is cheap. anyway, you said that when you opened up the Hummingbird, there wasn't that much in it. My award, I wish I would have taken a picture of this. I was kind of in a hurry. I was given a PA system. I took it apart, and the only in the PA box, other than the controls on the front, were two transformers, which they had to probably put in there because it's one of these PA systems where no matter what your impedance of your speakers was, there was a way to hook it up. You just had to hook the wires up right. And other than that, the only thing in the whole box was this giant, I'm talking like, an inch and a half, 2-inch package integrated circuit with the largest heat sink I've ever seen in a commercial product. I looked at that and I figured, how can you repair this? Probably by replacing that IC, and then you're probably get into it. I looked online to see how much those kind of PA systems cost, and I'm sure it would cost just as much to buy an IC in quantity of one as buy a whole new system. Anyway, that's my experience in some repair of modern electronics. I'm kind of curious to know if Larry's ever found anybody to repair his Icon radio. I was really surprised they didn't do something for him on that. Anyway, let's see. I see it's about 14 minutes to the top of the hour, and yes, Jessica, large-scale integration means low probability of repair. That's what I call that. So this is James, WW7ATS in Northeast Bellevue, and I'll turn it back to Dave, our net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society.
Thanks for that, James. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. In Tehran, my private hardware store, they have webbing for lawn chairs made out of plastic. It's 2 inches wide and about a millimeter thick. It seems like very thin stuff. I think 100 foot rolls for very inexpensive listening to Jessica with that. I was at Goodwill this week, and I noticed a sign in the lobby that we're looking for employees, $19 an hour. So I thought, at Goodwill, that seems strange because generally it's a subsidized wage thing where the employees are kind of learning how to get back into the mesh with the mainstream. But apparently, for some of their cashiers or stuff, they're willing to spend that kind of money. So I was very surprised at Goodwill. And that's about the only thing I can push on with that. So I guess we can go back up to the top to Ron again. 87 QKU.
Okay, 87 QKU here. Well, Jessica, when you were showing that Hummingbird fish finder, it's it's very similar to the one I have. And if you notice, it had pictures of fish. Now, if you look at the one that's behind you over there on the left-hand side, above the red, you see some little marks. And I guess those are supposed to be fish. But, I've had some other fish finders, and they look like that. But I can't get much confidence to try to catch those little red marks. But when I see pictures of actual fish, then I get a little bit excited. Hey, there's really some fish down there, not just sticks or rocks or whatever, is on the screen. I mean, you might be trolling back and forth there for 2 hours, and just a piece of wood that was down there you're trying to catch. I don't know. And then it has a fish alarm. So when the little fish appear on the screen, you hear a little dee noise or something. And so when you're sitting out there and you're half asleep, and you just, drank your hot cocoa and ate your cookies or whatever, and you're sleeping out, and then the little alarm goes deep, oh boy, there's some fish. And it shows large fish, and it shows small fish and medium-sized fish. And so when you see large fish, well then, you get enthusiastic. And if you don't catch anything, then you think about changing lure or putting on some scent or something to try to attract that big fish. But anyway, like I say, those little flips or whatever they want to call them, they're not necessarily enough enthusiasm for me. So like I say, I like this one. So let's see what else. I wrote down here race car, and I didn't talk about Richard's race car. That's too bad, Richard. I suppose it's because because of the engine there. They're rebuilding engines, like you said. And that one had a cracked block, so you had to find another block. So that's a start from scratch, I guess. They might have to bore it. Well, first of all, if they get an old used one, they got to put it in the skunk tank, and heat it out, and then do everything to it. And then they have to magnify it to make sure there's no more cracks or something. All that takes quite a bit of time. So good luck on that. I know it was fun, and you like those guys. You go to those places. Yeah, working. Jessica, when you told me you might, I drove Metro bus part-time for 3 years, and I only had one route that I really liked, and it was the people that were in Edmonton. I picked them up in Seattle. I don't remember if I picked them up. Anyway, I only had one route that I really liked, and I picked the people up in Seattle, and I taken them home to Edmonton. And some of them were really friendly, and they would talk to me and tell me all kind of things that were going on. Oh, just like this radio, really. It was a friendly bunch of people. And then, of course, by the time we get home, get out there, they'd all be asleep. But so anyway, they were fun, and I liked them. But the rest of the routes I had were, not fun at all. It was, it was no fun. Traffic was awful, and I'm telling you, you're driving a 40-foot bus, and you got to go around all these corners and miss all this stuff. And then people, they don't treat you very well. Everybody hates buses, let me tell you. So yeah, find something that you can do that you want to do a little part-time work that's fun. Maybe go down and gas boats at the marina or something. I don't know. I don't know. There's a guy on the morning that's what he does. He's over there in, I know it's not Anacortes, it's farther up the channel, but anyway, that's what he does. He works at the gas stop. And he always has interesting stories. It's the stories of the people trying to get into the gas stock and get tied up. That's just watching the people. So anyway, I don't know. I don't have anything to talk about other than the weather and my health. Goodness sakes. It seems like there's something all the time. So anyway, back to that KD7QKU.
KD7QKU, thanks for that. Let's go to Jessica. KF7UHB.
And a 10-hour day job that was going to be crawling around on buses, underneath seats and stuff. That's a long day. If you did it once in a while, okay, but if you do it every day, no, it'd be tough. And after 9 years of retirement, probably not. Probably not so fun. So I'm not upset about it. It was more interesting, and made me think. I did put a application in for Metro. But I really don't want a Metro job because I think Metro Seattle, you're going to find a lot of awful people, who are using the bus as their homeless shelter and other things too. So if you know what I mean, wink, wink, nod, nod. Let's see, on the LSI, large-scale integration, I once got a VU meter chip from Radio Shack for $5 or $6. All you needed to add was LEDs and a power source, and then a resistance to it, and it would show you. I think it was a stereo VU meter chip. Very simple, just pinouts went to LEDs, and it was very easy to hook up, and it was pretty amazing. And on your Hummingbird, which I like Hummingbird equipment. I think it's built really well. I had a Hummingbird fish finder, depth sounder, and a radio on a little boat I had a long time ago. Loved the equipment. I don't know if getting it too wet is going to ruin the little speaker alarm buzzer inside it. You'll have to find out, because sometimes that's a moving part inside there that has a little tiny hole. So that might be affected. And I think mine also do the shallow alarm, so you can set it to how shallow. If you get too shallow, it'll wake you up and make sure you don't hit the rocks with your propeller, that kind of thing. But no, I love Hummingbird equipment. It's good. well-built stuff. It's built perhaps outdoorsy, but it looks like it. Otherwise, it's 55 minutes after yours. KF7, UHK.
KF7, UHK. Let's go to Richard, K7ITX.
I'm not pulling your leg, but I'm pretty sure I saw a submarine, in the United States, well, I'm assuming a United States submarine on a fish finder. We were fishing right off from the shores of Fox Island, and all that area around Fox Island was well known for, they even have warning piers with lights and sirens if the submarine is about to surface. But we were fishing, and we were looking at on the fish finder well over 500 feet deep, and thought we could see some fish down there. But then all of a sudden, this big giant, maybe a whale or something, but it slowly moved into the screen, and it just took, for a while there, that's all you could see. The screen was just one big whiteout, and then slowly, about the time it would take for a submarine to pass under you, then it all cleared up, and so that's all we could take out. We've never seen anything like that before in our lives, so it was pretty amazing. And I do recall a submarine actually being beached grounded on the beach of Fox Island. Probably about 40 years ago, 45 years ago. They kept it pretty quiet, and they didn't let anybody get near it, but I do know they're around there, and I swear to God I saw them on the fish finder. So with that, 87ZIM, I'm going to say 73 for now. K7ITX, back to net control.
K7ITX, thanks for that. Let's go on to Jen, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Ron, you were talking about finding fish on the fish finder. I don't know, I've gone fishing a number of times not really wanting to catch anything. And for that matter, I've gone hunting like in the Texas piney woods, and I remember one day walking by this tree stand hearing a bunch of snoring. So obviously he wasn't too terribly excited about shooting anything either. I don't know. Kind of funny, I thought. Let's see. Jen, you mentioned something about Wade and an ICOM. Maybe someone can tell me something, what happened there. Just curious. It brings up something that happened to a friend of mine. He bought an ICOM aircraft band radio while we were in Singapore, and then brought the thing home. When it broke, I don't know, a couple of years later maybe, he took it to ICOM and they would not repair it. They said that it was not FCC type accepted in the United States. So that's a little story I have on that. But just curious what happened there. And looks like we're about out of time. So back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
N7QO, talk about FCC certified. Let's go to James, WW7ATS.
Well, thank you, Dave. Guess I'll wrap up the net here tonight. I'll show everybody, I won't be able to stay around afterwards, but I'll show people this little headset. And as you can see, the earpods are quite small, and that's good. But then the center piece is also quite small. The battery amazingly lasts. I talked on it nonstop for an hour. But the whole package, if you snag this little fragile cable on something, it's done. So for $5.40. I don't know. I'm thinking of getting another one because I don't think you want to cost. No. So that's it for me, James, Northeast Bellevue with the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Let's turn it back to Dave for the wrap-up for our net here tonight.
WW7M, James, thanks for that. And again, this is Dave, 87ZYN, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. We'd like to take this time to thank the owners and operators of the 08 machine, WW7STR, for letting us utilize it for our voice transmissions on Saturdays and Wednesdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. And again, we'd like to thank the CTAG Repeater Association, who is the owner of WW7STR, the 08 machine, for allowing us to do it. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, 87ZYM, saying good night, 9:01. Good evening all.